the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company employed hundreds of ships to trade gold, porcelain, spices, and silks around the globe. But running this massive operation wasn't cheap. In order to fund their voyages, the company turned to private citizens, who could invest money to support trips in exchange for a share of the ship's profits. This practice allowed the company to afford even grander voyages, increasing profits for both themselves and their savvy investors. By doing this, the Dutch East India Company unknowingly invented the world's first stock market. This briefly introduces about the origin of first stock market in the world, so how about in Vietnam context?
Generally, Vietnamese stock market have been gone through three big stages, namely establishment, 1996 to 2006, development, 2006 up to now, and current stage. It has been more than 20 years since the founding of Vietnam Securities. Beginning in 1996, the State Securities Commission of Vietnam was established under Decree No. 75/CP of the government. 2 years later, 1998, the Vietnamese stock market was officially born according to Decree No. 48/CP of the government. The birth of Vietnam's stock market is recognized by the opening of the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange Center in July 2000. On July 28, 2000, the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange Center officially came into operation with the first two trading stocks, REE and SAM, and some government bonds. In 2001, Vietnam's stock market had a boom when the VN index reached 571.04 points after the first 6 months of the year, but after 4 months the listed stocks began to decline, dropping by 70% in value. VN index was only about 200 points in October 2001. From that period to 2005, the market was always in a state of low trade as investors fled the market. March 2005, the Hanoi Stock Exchange Center officially came into operation. The stock market capitalization reached nearly 40,000 billion VND, doubled in 2004 and accounted for 1% of the country's GDP. VN stock market has experienced many ups and downs in its development period. In 2006, the National Assembly promulgated the Law of Securities in Vietnam that helped stabilize, improved inadequacies and conflicts with other legal documents, created an attractive securities environment that attract organizations and individuals to participate. Moreover, the stock market started to have a strong growth in 2006 after the Hanoi Stock Exchange went into operation, became an exchange for small and medium-sized companies, beside the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange, where large businesses are listed. In 2007, Ho Chi Minh City Stock Trading Center converted into an exchange model and officially applied the continuous matching order from July 30 to create liquidity for the market. During 2006 to 2007, the stock market also had a remarkable growth in the number of listed shares and market capitalization. This period can be considered as a boom for Vietnam stock market. However, things became stagnant in 2008 when the market indexes fell sharply due to the impact of the global financial crisis. Stock market prices plummeted, liquidity was poor, foreign investors divested and investors gloomed. Nevertheless, the number of listed companies still increased steadily every year. Market in 2009 was still impacted by the global financial crisis but began to recover and rebound at the end of the year. This time also witnessed the born of the unlisted public company market when HNX opened and operated the Upcom. Registration for trading on the stock exchange, SEC, has increased rapidly since this event. The 2010 to 2020 period witnessed the development of the Vietnam stock market with plenty of indices and products generated to support the valuation and analysis of buying and selling. In particular, this stage has observed the release of several derivatives and certificates. Derivative securities are essentially contracts between two or more participants that are inferred from the price movement of the underlying asset. The underlying assets can be stocks, bonds, commodities, etc. In which, Vietnam developed two products, future contract and covered warrant. A future is a legally binding agreement to buy or sell an underlying asset at a specific time and a predetermined price. They are standardized in quantity and quality to be traded on exchanges. In 2017, derivatives were officially publicly traded on HNX with the primary issuance of future contracts on the VN30 index. In 2019, HNX introduced futures on government bonds with 5-year maturity. Covered warrants are securities with collateral issued by securities companies. An investor pays a fee to gain the right to buy or sell the underlying security to the warrant issuer at a predetermined price. Covered warrants were firstly introduced in 2017 and officially publicly traded in 2019. There are currently 65 covered warrants in the market. An ETF certificate is a basket of securities listed on the exchange, referenced on the basis of general indices, industry indices, or a basket of indices created according to the criteria of the creators. The first ETF was established in 2008. Up to now, there are 7 ETFs divided into 2 categories, foreign and domestic ETFs. Furthermore, in order to support the analysis, more than 10 baskets of indices were created during this period, including, the UPCOM index reflects stock price changes of unlisted public companies. From only 10 enterprises participated in 2009, UPCOM has more than 500 stocks up till now, surpassing both HOSE and HNX in the number of participating businesses. In 2012, the VN30 was born to measure the growth of the top 30 companies in terms of market capitalization and liquidity in VN All-Share. The VN30 basket accounts for more than 80% of the market capitalization of VN index. HNX also generated the HNX30 that reflects 30 companies selected from the list of listed companies on the Hanoi Stock Exchange based on certain selection criteria and adjusted for the proportion of freely transferable shares. In 2014, 3 sets of index groups were released on the HOSE, including the VMID, VNSML, and VN100. The VMID measures the growth of 70 mid-sized companies in VN All-Share, and together with the VN30, they created the VN100 that reflect the price movements of 100 stocks with market capitalization accounting for about 90% and representing more than 80% of the trading value of the entire market. The VN100 overcomes some limitations of the VN index in terms of the domination of a number of large stocks and stocks with low liquidity. VNSML measures the growth of small-sized companies in VN All-Share. It consists of the remaining shares of VN All-Share, after excluding the component of VN100. In 2016, VNAL Index was born to measure all stocks listed on HOSE after adjusting for the screening criteria on eligibility, free transfer rate and liquidity. In 2019, HOSE introduced a set of new indices into the stock market, namely VN Diamond, VNFin Select, and VNFin Lead. These indices contribute to attracting new sources of investment into the market by providing a premise on which ETFs can build their new products. VN Diamond Index is expected to attract foreign investments in stocks with closed room for foreign investors. VNFin Select and VNFin Lead are indices for financial group stocks. For VNFin Select, the conditions are 500 billion BND minimum capitalization and at least 1 billion BND transaction value. In terms of VNFin Lead, companies must meet a 10 billion BND transaction value and a minimum of 0.1% turnover rate. Ending December 2020, VN Index increased by 100.79 points, 10.05%, compared to the end of November, closing the last trading session of 2020 at 1,103.87 points. According to INDEXQ, with the above increase, VN Index has brought the Vietnamese stock market to the 6th position in the top 10 markets with the strongest gain in December. For the whole year of 2020, VN Index increased by 142.88 points, equivalent to 14.87%. HNX Index increased by 100.61 points, 98.1%, and UPCOM Index increased by 17.89 points, 31.6%, over the same period in 2019. At the last trading session of 2020, Vietnam's stock market capitalization reached nearly VND 5.3 million billion, $228 billion, an increase of VND 523,594 billion, 11%, compared to the end of November, and VND 910,187 billion, 20.8%, compared to the end of 2019. New money flowed into the country at a breakneck pace, causing HOS to constantly fall into a stagnant state, halting orders, and enraging investors in the early months of the year. However, this situation was then gradually removed by the authorities, so that market liquidity reached the highest level, with each session matching value in billions of USD. In April 2021, market liquidity reached the highest level, with the total trading volume of shares in the month reaching over 14.51 billion shares, and the total trading value reached over VND 366,944 billion. The average trading value of the session reached over VND 18,347 billion, with the trading volume of over 725.93 million shares each session, having a sharp increase compared to the end of 2020, and is a historic milestone for the liquidity of Vietnam's stock market. By the end of May, the total market's average matching value had surpassed 23 trillion VND, equivalent to nearly $1 billion, excluding put-through transactions, with some sessions exceeding 23 trillion VND. About securities companies, up to the present time, there are 74 securities companies, SCS, operating normally. Some securities firms have transformed and expanded their businesses, including offering derivatives market services, arranging sources, consultancy, and bond underwriting. Some small securities firms have begun to concentrate on high-value customer groups and are preparing to implement financial technology, fintech, into their operations. In terms of listed companies, the stock market currently has 1,647 stock and fund certificates listed/registered for trading, with the market's listed and registered trading scale reaching nearly VND 1,428 trillion, 787 companies listed on HOS and HNX. In terms of accounts, the stock market has attracted a large number of domestic and foreign investors with increasingly high qualifications. Up to now, June 2020, market has reached over 2.5 million accounts, including 33,395 accounts of foreign investors to help attract foreign investment capital, contributing to the development of many listed enterprises into international branded enterprises and promoting the image of Vietnam's economy. The portfolio value of foreign investors accounts for about 20% of the stock market capitalization. Until now, the stock market has had the following impact on businesses. Since the establishment of the stock market, Vietnam Stock Exchange till June 2020, the government and enterprises have mobilized over 2.4 billion VND to invest in production and business, accounting for over 20% of the total investment capital in the country. In general, stock market capitalization reached 94.8% of GDP, helping to shape the modern financial system by ensuring that stock and money credit markets are in synchronization. The development of Vietnam's stock market has contributed to accelerating the process of economic restructuring on all three pillars: reform of state-owned enterprises through equitization, divestment of state capital by transparent auction mechanisms, modernize and associate equitization with transaction registration and listing on the stock market, restructuring public investment through becoming an important capital mobilization channel for the state budget, support the process of restructuring credit institutions, especially commercial banks participating in listing on the stock market.